Both leaders will probably have to learn a new unemployment rate today. The jobless rate is expected to reach a 40-year low. Joining me now is our business reporter, Edward Boyd. Ed, economists are predicting about 30,000 jobs will be created during March.
Yeah, 30,000 jobs is the expectation for the month of March. That would bring unemployment down to 3.9%, which would be a pretty much 50-year low, lowest since about 1974. We'll get full confirmation from the Bureau of Statistics a bit later, but one of the big trends we've seen since December last year has been full-time jobs outstripping part-time jobs each month. So, for example, in February, 120 full-time roles were created. 45,000 part-time roles were lost during February. So expect to see a big growth in full-time employment again this month. SEEK have just published their job advertisements report, and in March they say there was a record number of job advertisements across Australia, up 32% on the year prior. The most number of jobs available right now apparently in the trade sector, but hospitality roles are up 16% in the month of March alone. So it just shows there's a lot of employers out there that are still looking for skilled workers right now and trying to hire people as we speak.
Yeah, and Ed, if the unemployment rate does fall more than expected, will this put pressure on the RBA to lift interest rates earlier, perhaps May?
It'd be interesting if they did. Look, it will put a lot more pressure on the Reserve Bank of Australia. We know inflation is at its highest level since the GFC. And if you go back to 2008, inflation back then was around 4.5%, and we're getting the new inflation figures in 2 weeks' time. Inflation's expected to come in at about 4.5%. And if you go back to 2008, the cash rate was around the 7% mark. That's to keep inflation down. They lift the cash rate. That's what the Reserve Bank does. Well, right now, the cash rate's at 0.1%. And if inflation continues to creep up, which it will, and the unemployment rate continues to trend down, which it clearly will throughout the rest of this year, more and more pressure will be on the Reserve Bank to lift interest rates earlier than the June meeting, which is when we're expecting them to lift, but that could be a month earlier, Laura.
Yeah, it seems that the RBA would have all the information it would need to lift interest rates in May, and we're still at emergency levels. I mean, is an election one reason that they wouldn't do it? Do they weigh that up?
I think they definitely weigh that up. Election is a big reason as to why they will just sit on their hands for the whole month of May and not lift rates till after the election. Remember, they did lift the cash rate during the 2007 election campaign in early November 2007, and the election day was on the 24th of November. And that was quite a surprise to the whole market and the economy when the RBA did lift the cash rate back then. I don't think they're going to want to be in sort of a lot of publicity around the election campaign and be a distraction for the election campaign. But you never know. If the economy is going where it's going, we are going to need the cash rate to go up very soon. We just saw the Reserve Bank of New Zealand lift the cash rate by 0.5% yesterday. So the cash rate in New Zealand is at 1.5%. In Australia, we're still at the record low of 0.1%.
That's really interesting, Ed. So come June, if they hold off in May and come June, could they go the 0.5% rather than the 25 basis points?
Definitely, that is the expectation as well, Laura. If they don't lift in May, they'll be lifting it by a more substantial amount in the month of June. So yeah, we could see them lifting by 0.5%, or they could bring the cash rate from 0.1 up 40 basis points to 0.5% at the June meeting. So that's definitely one of their options.
Okay, the stock market opens in about an hour's time. What are we expecting there?
Expecting the ASX 200 to open up about 0.2%. Oil prices climbed again overnight, so energy stocks are again going to be the big winners today.
Oh, they always are, it seems, Ed. We'll speak to you soon. We'll speak to you in about an hour from now. Thanks so much. And we will bring you details and analysis as soon as those unemployment figures drop. And that'll happen at 11:30 Eastern here on Sky News this morning.